Benjamin Trail NP. NP standing for Nitro Piston. Safety check. Oh wait, it's a pellet gun. Never mind. I mean, it's a single shot, and that's about as good as you're going to get for a safety check. Just trust me, it's not loaded. Anyways, this thing is about, I'd say less than $75 on average. You can get them at Walmart, anywhere online pretty much. And rated for 600 feet per second, which is the first big plus to this gun. It has got a lot of velocity for an air gun, an air pistol I should say. The only difference is this is a nitro piston model as opposed to a coil spring or pneumatic pump up type model. And this is basically, the design is similar to the lift struts on a car, like for your hatchback or the hood. You know, those little piston looking things are charged with like nitrogen or some other inert gas, and when it's compressed, you know, it helps it raise the hood or the hatch or whatever. Same principle with this. When you cock the pistol, and I can't really do it because I don't want to dry fire it right now, but when you cock it, it compresses that gas, and when you pull the trigger, of course, that releases the tension on there, and that's what gives you your high velocity rating. The advantages to that, supposedly, is that this does not wear out as easily over time as a conventional spring. It's supposed to be quieter, it's supposed to be easier to cock. I don't know if I necessarily believe that, because this is not really easy to cock. It's not horrible, but it's not the lightest thing. And supposedly you can leave this compressed for hours at a time, so if you're using this to hunt squirrels or whatever, you can cock this thing and leave it sitting and it won't lose velocity. It's supposed to not also lose velocity when it gets colder, but I don't live in a climate where I can really test that, so just got to take their word for it. Now, another thing on this is nice is the loading on it, being it's a single shot break barrel action. It's pretty easy to load. You just smack it down, break it open, and you get this where your O-ring is there. You just poke in your pellet, smack it back up, you're good to go. There's no automatic safety on this like some other models. Safety on this is kind of a crossbar type deal. So you poke through here, push it to the left, red is ready to fire. That's safe mode. Pretty easy to use, but being that it's a single shot, I've never really had much use for it. If I'm going to fire it, I'm going to load it and fire it right then. I'm not going to load it and then just keep it on safe for whatever. Just never have needed it. But if you need it, it's there. That's what it's for. Another thing is the grip on here. The grip angle is nice, I will say, but I already got to get into the negatives on this. As you'll see here, I have a Hogue Handall. This is an old one. It's kind of cut and stuff because I used to have it on an old pistol. So it's kind of gouged up here. But I ended up having to put this on here because of the grip texture on here, as you can see towards the back. This is kind of like a sort of like a Springfield XD. Even the look of the slide type area is pretty well modeled after the Springfield XD models of real firearms. But it's got this kind of like a, I don't know, it's Springfield XD on crack, steroids, whatever kind of texture. It's just overly aggressive, and because this gun is so heavy, it's freaking heavy for a pistol. It kind of digs in your fingers because you're using this to hold the weight of the pistol, and it just kind of, after a while, it just gets uncomfortable. So I ended up having to put this in here, and it makes it a little easier to hold, a little easier to keep it where you want it. So it doesn't, you know, need it per se, but that's just me. You could use a bicycle inner tube or whatever. That's just something I did. Just real quick, demonstrate the operation of the Benjamin Trail NP. First of all, attach your cocking aid. Slap it down, break it open, cock it like so. There's your loading. Insert your pellet in the correct direction, of course. Make sure it is flush with the face there, the breech face. Otherwise, you're going to squash your skirt and you might end up jamming the thing solid. In case you're wondering, these are Crosman Premier hollow points from Wally World. Cheap, they work, whatever. Flip it up. Make sure your safety is on fire when you're ready to go. Get on target and watch the trigger. I've got it, like I said, I've got it tightened down where it's supposed to take all the pre-travel out of it. It's really not that long per se, but it is heavy, and it's kind of hard to show here, but it's pretty substantial. It's got a fair amount of creep. So it probably doesn't show very well on the video, but it does have a bit of travel, but it's pretty heavy for what it is. So one more time just to show. Hold it. Ready to go. There you are. Now they claim that this is an adjustable trigger. See this little hole here at the bottom? There's a little Phillips head screw. You can reach through this little hole and supposedly you can adjust this. Well, if you follow the directions on there, I believe you're supposed to just tighten it so you can make it lighter and take up the slack and all that other stuff. Right out of the box, this was maxed out. The screw is bottomed out. There is no adjustment. You can only make it worse from here. So, kind of a non-feature. Another thing that really sucked on this, the front sight, which you'll see I have modified. It used to have, such as on the back here, used to have these fiber optic sight post on the front. It was an orange fiber optic sight. And yeah, it shows up nice and everything, but you get into this other deal. See, this here is the cocking aid, which you're supposed to put on here, like so. Kind of hard to do from this angle. There we go, okay. You're supposed to put this thing on there and use this as a cocking aid because it makes it longer, gives you more leverage, so you can, cock it that way and not have to, blow an arm muscle out. But when you have this thing on there and it's a hollow fixture, supposedly, according to the owner's manual, you can shoot this with this on here. Well, yeah, you can. The disadvantage to it, though, is when you do, it throws your aim way off, such to the point where this front sight, you couldn't aim the thing. It would not hit where you want it at all. It would consistently hit in the same spot, but it was way high, as I recall, before I modified this. So what I ended up having to do is I had to cut this front sight post off. I had to lose the fiber optic, unfortunately, and then I ended up just painting this with some high-vis a paint marker. Went over it with white first, and then went over a couple coats of this fluorescent orange color. Now I can get it on sight, because even though this rear sight is adjustable with that front fiber optic sight on there and with this attached, this, I mean, there was not enough adjustment to go high enough to make up for it. You just couldn't do it. You couldn't hit anything with it. So by putting it, this low, cutting it basically even with the base of the fiber optic there, I made it usable. And the sights are still adjustable. You have like little knobs here they have little clicks that you can get really precise with your adjustments, which is nice. And now it's functional, usable, and works good, and I can actually hit what I want. But just kind of stupid that you'd even have to do that. Now, alternatively, if you take this off, the cocking aid, after you cock the thing, or if you can just somehow just He-Man this thing down when you cock it without it, you can use the front sight and it hits where it's supposed to. They made it basically to shoot without the cocking device attached. Why they don't say that in the manual and why they try and lead you to believe that you can put this cocking aid thing on here and shoot it and it doesn't affect the accuracy at all is beyond me. I don't know. But that's a kind of a major complaint with it, because it's really it's kind of tough to get on and off. Every single time you shoot this, can you imagine trying to do that every single time? No. That's just not practical, not reasonable. Sorry, not gonna work. It's also, like I said, very top heavy. This nitro piston design, it's unique. It's got some advantages and all, and I kind of dig it for what it is, but it makes the thing really heavy. And I had the same problem with the nitro piston rifle that I have. Is an MTR-77 by Crosman, which Benjamin and Crosman are basically the same company. I believe one owns the other. So, in fact, it even says right on the slide here. I don't know if this I can get the show on the video here, but it says right here Crosman Corporation. So, but it's the same technology, nitro piston, and it just makes it a really heavy assembly. So very top heavy, and you try and hold this thing, especially one-handed, try and hold this aloft for a while, and it just really gets heavy after a while. So not ideal in terms of that. So, and one last thing, it is freaking huge. I mean, I have to really struggle to fit this whole thing in frame here, and I've got a pretty long counter here that I'm working with. This thing is gargantuan. I mean, just for perspective, here's an old Crosman 1377. This is an old classic here. This is the old style one before they got the kind of a bolt type of latch. I've had this thing for 20 years or so. But anyways, this thing It even makes that look small, and this is a pretty dang huge pistol for an air pistol. So, and even if you detach the cocking aid, it's still longer, and by far way heavier. It is almost twice as heavy as this. So it's a beast. But you know, that's the advantage, the price you pay, I guess, for the advantage of having a single shot pellet pistol that'll reach 600 feet per second with one pump, as opposed to this, which is also 600 feet per second rated, but you have to pump this like 10 times to get to that. So it saves a little wear and tear on your arms, unless you just physically can't cock at that one pump, because it's a pretty hefty weight. So there you have it, the Benjamin Trail NP pistol, nitro piston in 177 caliber. So, for what it's worth, it's my 2 cents on that. Thanks for watching.